All right, let's check in now with New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. Congresswoman, great to have you back with us.
Great to be on.
All right, so just a few weeks ago, Vice President Harris dismissed visiting the border as a grand gesture. Here she is.
Priorities, and I came here to be here on the ground to speak with the leader of this nation around what we can do in a way that is significant, is tangible, and has real results. And I will continue to be focused on that kind of work as opposed to grand gestures.
All right, so is this a grand gesture, her going down there now?
Well, it's not so grand since everyone's pointed out she's going to the El Paso sector, which, by the way, has got a serious problem, but it's not nearly as difficult as the Rio Grande sector, which has almost twice as many border crossings, and it grows worse by the day. I visited the El Paso sector. The Border Patrol agent in charge, Gloria Chavez, is one tough cookie, and I think she's going to give Kamala Harris, our vice president, an earful. Hopefully she will see as much as I did, although I spent almost an entire day at the border. Vice President Harris looks like she's going to be spending more time flying there than she's actually going to spend on the ground. She needs to see the border. She needs to see the detention centers. And I think the contrast that's going to be very interesting is much of the wall has been completed up in the El Paso sector, which is why they have more success and why the border agents are able to minimize the traffic or the crossings. That's why she should go to the Donna site. She should go down to the Rio Grande sector while she's down there and take a look at the real human tragedy. I mean, we went from President Obama creating and putting children in cages to President Biden and Kamala Harris now warehousing children, almost like they're at a distribution center. There's so many of them, we can barely handle them. So I'm glad she's going, but I think she should be spending a few days there and working and talking with everyone who can give her some insights.
The other thing, too, is this hasn't slowed down. Normally during the summertime, it gets too hot. You see a slowdown in activity from the cartels, but we're not seeing that right now, at least not to the same extent we normally would, and we can only assume that's because of the open border policies from this administration. You know, she's obviously concerned about the optics of this trip down there. That's probably one of the reasons why she's going to El Paso, as you mentioned here. But you break it, you buy it, right, Congresswoman? That's where they're at right now. What can she say, and what do you expect her to say that was actually going to send a message to the American public that they care about addressing this problem?
Well, it's a little too late. I mean, she started out by going down to Central America and South America, saying that that's the root cause, and we're just going to take more U.S. taxpayer dollars and dump it into solving the problem there, which they're refusing to acknowledge that the cartels are profiting off children and people coming across the border. That's the real issue, and they're incentivizing people to come to the border to risk their lives. And she kind of backpedaled and said, you know, first she was encouraging them and said everyone needs to come for asylum. Then she backpedaled and said, don't come. And, you know, she got attacked by AOC, so she pivoted away from that. Now they're claiming that they're going to reunite all these children, you know, with their families. But let me tell you a real life story. Our own DFAS site, that's our Defense Financial and Accounting Service. They deal with paychecks and helping, you know, our military. In upstate New York, which is at the other border, we are being asked, our employees are being asked to be foster parents for children who have come across the border illegally, who don't have a parent or anyone to go to. So our taxpayers are not only paying for warehousing children at the border, they're now paying for foster parents of federal employees. This is how they're solving the problem. Instead of just going back to the policies that were working under President Trump, remain in Mexico, requiring the wall to be fixed. And interesting, El Paso sector has more of the walls I indicated. Mm-hmm. The Rio Grande sector, they need to complete the wall. And notice they finally gave up on not rebuilding the wall, that they are going to start rebuilding some of it. Every border agent will tell you how critically important the wall is. Not that it stops people, it slows them down so the Border Patrol has a chance to keep up with them and a chance to actually rescue a lot of people who are making this dangerous journey.
It funnels the human trafficking traffic and drug trafficking traffic into ports, places where it can be better controlled. Let's also talk about President Biden's new crime prevention plan that he unveiled yesterday. His main focus is on guns. Sounded a little bit like he was interested in going after some illegal gang activity, but really the focus was on guns and specifically gun dealers, legal gun dealers. There's an issue, too, as well, with the person who's been tapped by President Biden to lead the ATF. And now we're hearing that current and former members of the ATF are actually opposing the nominee, David Chipman. Now, they say he's too partisan. Former ATF Director Michael Sullivan says Chipman, quote, has made it clear over the course of his time as a lobbyist with organizations that are anti-gun and one that has a very restrictive view of the Second Amendment, it would suggest a hostility towards the Second Amendment. Now, as far as federal agencies go, the ATF has a pretty decent reputation from gun owners, but that's in question right now. And David Chipman seems like a real liability. Do you think the Senate will actually confirm him?
I hope not. But let's just, this guy is terrible. I watched some of his testimony. I'm glad that Michael Sullivan and others, our former directors, or actually still directors, are opposing this, especially in a bipartisan way. He should not be on this board in any way, shape, or manner. I hope more Democrats step up to the plate. Listening to President Biden yesterday reminded me of a nightmare that I've lived in New York under Governor Cuomo, where he said it doesn't take 10 bullets to kill a deer, famous before he passed his what could be unconstitutional gun law in New York State, his gun grabbing legislation. And then there's Joe Biden talking about deer wearing Kevlar vests. I go like, this is people who simply do not understand how important the Second Amendment is. Right. And they don't understand what it means or what it's about. And he's talking about all the things that we've heard over and over in this broken record of people who fail to understand that it's a right, just like the First Amendment and all of the Bill of Rights.
Right. The Second Amendment has absolutely nothing to do with deer unless those deer are part of the government. We used to talk about the nuclear option when it came to the filibuster, but I didn't know Joe Biden intended a nuclear option for the American public or, legal gun owners in this country. But that's kind of what he talked about yesterday. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more coming up, but I wanted to focus on what Nancy Pelosi announced today as well, Congresswoman, announcing that creation of a special committee to probe the January 6th attack, a special House committee on this. Speaker Pelosi said the root causes of the Capitol riot were white supremacy, anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia. And she also said this.
There are two actual paths. One is about the root causes of it, the white supremacy, the anti-Semitism, the Islamophobia, all the rest of it that was so evident when you see a sweatshirt on one of the people saying, Camp Auschwitz. The other is the security of the Capitol and what it means to be ready for such an insurrection. While I think we could have been better prepared, I don't think anybody would have foreseen an insurrection incited by the President of the United States.
And again, the DOJ calls it a Capitol incursion. They don't call it an insurrection on their official website. Nobody's been charged with insurrection yet. No sedition charges either. She forgot the third option here for Democrats, and that's really to have another impeachment kind of like situation for President Trump and Republicans for 2022, right? Because that's really what this is about, so they can continue to talk about this, so they can keep calling you guys insurrectionists. So that's what they have. That is their election strategy for 2022.
Absolutely. They don't want to talk about their failed policies across the board, whether it's dealing with the border, where we're getting backpedaling by the vice president, although it's weak. She's trying to make gestures. It's not a grand gesture, for sure. The terrible crisis that's going on in the Middle East, where the Republicans are actually standing up and protecting our greatest ally, Israel. And there's a bipartisan force also, I must say, of Democrats who have also concerned about what's happening. Iran just elected the butcher of Iran, a violent guy who's murdered Iranians, who's now the head of Iran. I mean, this is who they want to negotiate with, while our greatest ally in the Middle East is under siege after the policies of President Trump, gave us at least a glimpse of hope and potential for peace in the Middle East for the first time in generations. We're looking at the economy, the inflation, all these things. They don't want you to talk about it. They want to obsess over January 6th. And, what's kind of scary about it is how much they've weaponized the FBI, the DOJ, and force these agencies to go in and go after ordinary Americans who may have peacefully gone on January 6th just to be part of a rally. Mm-hmm. Hundreds and hundreds of rallies were held across the nation for President Trump in Washington, all over my community, flotillas in support of the former president. And now they're just going to try to cast us as anti-Semite, white supremacists to cover up the fact that they have failed policies and they're looking really bad, when we get into what the midterm elections could possibly pose. And hopefully we will be unseating Nancy Pelosi, not even to get into the election integrity issues. I chair the Election Integrity Caucus. There are issues all over that they are avoiding to focus on this January 6th.
Right. And you read these laws in Georgia, Florida, Texas, and they solve a lot of problems. But, like everything else that solves problems right now, if you call it racist, you don't actually have to argue the facts and the policy issues here at play. That's what we've seen from Democrats. Congresswoman, great to see you. Love talking to you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.